Brazil in their most important match for a generation.
This is just about as big as it gets. Sol Campbell brought that out with so much confidence. Here's a good turn by Heskey.
Sol Campbell did very well.
They can get Cole away here. England. Oh, and Cafu has brought him down. Now then, Heskey has started really well today. And then a volleyed clearance by Ferdinand.
Been beaten. In the 79th minute, trailing 2-1, England decide to substitute goal scorer Michael Owen. History is about to be made. As Darius Vassell comes on, England have more black players on the field than white. It's final proof of a revolution in British football. This is the story of that revolution, of the black men who have played and transformed football in the country where it was invented.
I owe these guys everything for me to be able to come and express myself exactly how I am on the football pitch.
Fashanu. Oh, what a goal! Oh, that's a magnificent save by David James. Magnificent goal! What a fantastic goal!
It's the story of the entertainment they have provided and the success they have enjoyed.
Good on the wing, good up front, but they couldn't be the centre-half, the captain, the goalkeeper. No, you have black captains, black centre-half, black goalkeepers.
But it's also the story of the pain they have endured.
I got a letter through the post, and it was a bullet.
Darius Vassell, what a volley!
And it's not simply the story of a revolution that has changed the face of Britain's national sport. It's also the story of a social revolution that has changed the face of Britain itself. The story of the black footballing revolution begins in an attic in Rotherham, the site 12 years ago of an accidental discovery.
We were moving house. My mother had died in '91, and we came across this box of old photographs. My son-in-law said, "What are you going to do with these?" And I said, "Well, throw them away."
Most of the photos were of well-known family members, but one was a mystery. A young black man dressed as an athlete and standing by a sporting trophy. Sheila's son-in-law was intrigued. He wasn't the only one. Soon after, Sheila was contacted by a football historian.
He was wanting information about someone called Arthur Wharton who'd lived in the Rotherham area, and it was believed he was married with 4 children.
I was researching the history of black footballers in Britain, and I was interested in Arthur as a footballer and a sportsman and an athlete, and then I managed to contact Sheila Leeson.
Vasili had contacted Leeson for information about Wharton for a reason that astonished her. He believed they were related.
I then found from the local archives that my mum's sister was actually Arthur's child, and I'm 100% certain that my mother was his as well.
Sheila Leeson was a granddaughter of the first black footballer in Britain. 100 years before the age of footballers' wives, Arthur Wharton was living the cliched lifestyle of the modern professional, a womanizer, a drinker, and a national star.
He played for the Man U of the time, Preston North End. So Arthur really was a Victorian sports celebrity, probably one of the few black sporting celebrities of the 1880s and 90s.
A superb athlete, Wharton clocked 10 seconds dead for the 100 yards in 1886, a world record. So where did Preston North End play the fastest man on earth? In goal. 19th century science was thought to have provided proof that black people were inherently inferior to white, a belief that justified their subservience. Given these attitudes, it was surprising that a black player was permitted to play professional football at all.
The received wisdom was that black people were more or less animals, and some people even thought that black people had tails. There's no way that a black player could have played during the Edwardian era if he hadn't been exceptionally gifted as a footballer.
Wharton was not the only black player in Britain recognized to have such exceptional talent. Born in 1888, Walter Tull was orphaned by the age of 10. Alone, he immersed himself in football.
The ball was the only real constant in his life. He was scouted by Tottenham Hotspur in the 1908-1909 season, and within 6 months he was playing for the Spurs first team.
Tull, conformist where Wharton had been controversial, was permitted the freedom of the outfield.
He was affectionately known as Darky Tull, which does sound a bit racist nowadays, but it was a term of affection.
But not every element in the crowd warmed to Tull's conspicuous talent.
The first report of racist abuse was Walter's match for Spurs at Bristol City. After that match, Walter was dropped, and so Walter was signed by Northampton.
At Northampton, Tull's career flourished to the point where, on merit, he was undoubtedly good enough to play for England. But the idea of a black man, no matter how talented, representing his country was then considered absurd, at least on the football field. On the field of war, it was expected. Black combatants were encouraged to fight for their mother country, though no one would have dreamed of allowing them to play for it. When Tull signed up in 1914, he proved more than simply a footballing pioneer.
I think even more so than Walter having been a successful footballer in his era. For him to have become a soldier and then to have become the first black officer in the British Army was an immense achievement. It was massive. The military wisdom at the time was that black people couldn't be trusted with weapons and that Caucasian soldiers wouldn't take orders from them. He distinguished himself in many battles. In the second battle of the Somme, he led a charge, and that's the battle he was killed in. He was shot in the head.
Tull was one of thousands of black men who gave their lives defending a system that discriminated against them on grounds of race. That system is so entrenched that even a world war was not enough to destroy it. It would take two. In the Second World War,